Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists.
Good morning, everyone. I am pretending to have a lot of energy this morning because Lord knows I really don't, but I am going to get it. Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents with me, Kadada Esmera Gray, conflict coach, CEO, and founder of, guess what? Aptly named Kadada Esmera Gray LLC. Yay, yay, yay. Good morning. I am so super excited this morning. As promised, we are rolling into April 4th, and I said I was going to celebrate men this month. And so, no, it's not Father's Day. I don't believe that we have to celebrate people when it's on a particular day. And because last month was International Women's Month and Women's Month, you know, I don't know if in the United States we have a men's month. Probably not, because unfortunately, maybe the patriarchy didn't think men needed a month. I don't know, because maybe they got 12 months out the year. And so I am super excited. I have 4 awesome gentlemen, some that are friends of mine, some that are going to be new friends. I hope like Kyle Justo, who is with us, will be a friend to the show and a friend to me for the rest of my life. I've got Dante Carter, who's a friend, David Manuel, who is a friend as well, and Kevin Sutton, who came to me via a friend and one of my college alums, Shiana Valentine. So I love. I'm super excited to talk about father involvement, dads, the highs and lows of fatherhood. And I just want to say, if you are watching the show and you think you're going to hear something messy about fathers or men, I promise you came to the wrong show. Go find somebody else, because we're not doing that up in here today. So that's what I want to say. Welcome, gentlemen. You guys will see them in a few minutes and we will have a rousing conversation. So I am super excited. So it's been a while since I've done anything from the desk of Kadada. So I'm going to show you guys a book that I kind of bought in hopes, like y'all say the word hope with me, hopes of doing cooking. It's a cookbook, right? And so I love pretty things. And when I saw Cooking from the Spirit with Sister Girl Tabitha Brown, I was like, oh my gosh, this book is pretty. And I am one that I will read a cookbook. Doesn't mean I'm actually going to cook. That's another show. But I love Cooking from the Spirit, and it is all vegan, vegetarian meals in here, and it's truly beautiful. I mean, it's colorful. It is, you can tell Sister Girl is living her best life, and that smile on her face is amazing. That's how you know when you got it and you are just full of joy and you were happy. That's the smile that I want for everybody. So when I talk about happy, healthy, whole, this is what I'm talking about. So this is the latest book on my bookshelf. One day it will travel into the kitchen. I will open it up to a page. I will actually go grocery shopping and actually cook something. So one thing at a time. Hopefully, that will be the thing. So good morning to everyone. Like I said, I have low energy. Yeah, it was hard for me to get up this morning. I am in political season, so I'm running campaigns. I'm tired, y'all. So if any of you all have any great, like, oh, this is how you get more energy, Kadada, please drop it in the chat, because Lord knows your sister girl needs it. Good morning, Pastor. So yeah, let's talk about fathers. And I have a daddy. Most of us have fathers. That does not mean that they are involved. However, we want to celebrate the fathers that are involved, that are making a way in this world and making a difference in their children's lives. I want to first say, though, that it is important to note that if you are the type of woman, because now I got to be truthful, I got to come for sisters, and I mean sisters of all shades, that have had a bad experience with that phrase, baby daddy, that is one person. That is not all men. And one day I will do a graphic that talks about all, some, one, or none, because we tend to use the all men when we are projecting the hurt that we have because of a bad experience with one individual. And so today we have 4 men that are coming on the show that are doing the damn thing, right? I won't say which one that I saw that was dressed up like Winnie the Pooh at a school. They're just out here doing things and writing books on fatherhood. They are doing campaigns. And when I say campaigns, I mean like creating movements for fatherhood. We'll talk to David Manuel about his 5K run. That years ago, I did that 5K run. Y'all, I actually walked because he didn't tell his sister there was like this bridge and a hill and all this kind of stuff that I was going to have to go over. But that is so special. And it's special. It brings me joy because many moons ago, I used to work with a lot of fathers and do a lot of mediation for them to work with their quote unquote baby mamas to get them access to their children. But I want to give you all some statistics because I found it so fascinating, so fascinating. So I want to talk about, what occurs when fathers are involved with their children in their children's lives. So let me say this. 2 times more likely, the young people, the children are more likely to go to college. That's 2 times more likely to go to college. 80% of them likely to spend time in jail, and 75% for young women are less likely to experience teen pregnancy. Now, if you are a person that's like, and you are the ones that are like, but, yes, let me just go ahead and say the disclaimer. Every young person has the ability to make their own choices. That does not mean that their fathers were not involved and did not give them guidance. See how we did that? Wrap that up real quick. And so that's amazing. Those are amazing statistics. The other thing I want to say is that these statistics also reflect just a little bit that the parents, mom and dad, that does not mean that, especially since we're talking about fathers, that does not mean that the fathers are perfect. That does not mean that they read some handbook and they were able to become the superheroes of fathers, because fathers, just like mothers, come from little children, grow into adults, and this is a skill, a craft. And they have probably dealt with their own issues, their own traumas, their own emotional traumas, their own emotional unhappiness, and so forth, and challenges. However, they have probably done the work enough to know what it means to be a great parent in this space, right? And so parenthood is not for the weak. It is not for the faint of heart. And so I love this. Now, because I have gentlemen of all shades that are going to be on the show this morning, I just want to say I have to break some of the philosophies that are out there that are harmful, some of the rhetoric that's out there in relationship to Black fathers. So this is not about pointing fingers. This is not even about saying that Black fathers are the worst, because I hear that. Um, that's so untrue. And I will reiterate that just because you had a bad experience with this quote unquote baby daddies in your life, that does not mean you get to paint the picture of bad fatherhood for all Black men. Because do you know that Black fathers spend more time with their children? Statistics, y'all can pull this up. Pew Research, if you know anything about me, I love research. Don't come with me. Do not come here because you feel like, oh, I'm feeling a certain kind of way and you're going to spout your ideology on your feelings. I like research. Let's go to the research, y'all. And there's a lot of organizations that talk about fathers' lives. Even under the Obama administration, there was a fatherhood organization that was created, an initiative, and all they're doing is teaching young men, adult men, how to be better fathers, giving them access to resources, whether it's job training skills, so that way they can increase the amount of money that they make to be supportive of their children. There's also organizations that are literally like trying to mediate on the legal side of the house. Like that's what I used to do, and I probably need to get back into it, on giving that, father's relationship and access to their children. Because yes, some women are upset. Some women hold power over their exes, their ex-boyfriends, or ex-husbands, and weaponize children, and it is unfair. That is a different conversation, because what we are celebrating this morning is the level of father involvement. And so I want to give you some statistics around fathers that live with their children, especially Black fathers. So first, let me say that 70% of Black fathers are married. Let me say that again for some of y'all in the back. 70% of Black fathers are married. That is totally counter to what we hear on Facebook. And what I hear on Facebook is Black men aren't ish, right? And so that's unfortunate. But that's the statistics. I'm just going to tell y'all, I'm going to celebrate that number. So the other statistic I want to show is that 2.5 million Black fathers live with their children versus 1.5 million that do not. Wow. You wouldn't know that because we have angry people spouting angry rhetoric. And so let's make these in this conversation the norm, right? Let's celebrate men that are doing what they are called to do. And I do believe that parenting is a calling and not a mandate. So I also want to say that 67% of Black men who don't live with their children see their children at least once a month. So that's an interesting statistic too, because when we talk about father involvement and parenting plans and all that kind of stuff, we don't really talk about the access to children, how often they do that. And this is an interesting statistic because in comparison to Hispanic fathers who are at 59% and white fathers that are 48%. So this is super, super, super interesting statistics. And let me just say this, father involvement comes in many shades and forms. So not only are they at home, they are also in the schools. They are running PTAs. They are running organizations like All Pro Dads, All Star Dads. They have created their own nonprofits around parenting and fatherhood. And so we always think about parental involvement in regards to children. and their mothers being in the school system. But guess what? Dads are just as involved, and they are more involved than just being on the football fields with children. And so, my producer, Yoruba, it is time for us to roll into an awesome commercial, and then we can bring our guest on. And while she does that, y'all, while she's getting that, I have got to go find my charger because this might die. And unfortunately, we don't want that to happen. So it gets like we're loading up. So I see we have Kyle Jetzel in the building. We have Dante Carter in the building, and we'll see who else shows up. But while we wait, I do want to say this, that I want to give out a shout out to Otha Thornton. He didn't know I was going to do this. So if y'all see Otha, tell him, hey, from Kadada. And Otha Thornton became the national PTA president a few years ago. And I want to say that is the ultimate almost leadership position when it comes to parental involvement. And so it was fantastic. I worked with Otha many years ago, and we were so full of parental engagement, but he was a shining light, right? Of like, oh, what fathers can do and how fathers can get involved. And so that was super, super awesome and important for other men to see, especially a Black man in that position, because most people don't know that even Black men are involved in PTA like that. So Yoruba, if you are ready, you can go ahead and launch that commercial, and we'll just keep it rolling this morning. We'll keep it rolling.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadada.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Good morning again, everyone. Welcome back. This is Kadada Gray with Life Coaching Today Presents. Uh-oh, look at all these brothers. Oh, look at this. I'm so excited this morning. I'm super excited. So I want to say good morning to Angela. I want to say good morning to Jennifer. Thank you guys for watching me this morning. I'm looking over to here to see who else is on. I see one of my family members is watching. So I am excited. And if you're just logging on, you guys, I want you to know that today I am celebrating men, as I promised in the month of April, because guess what? We need to celebrate men. And then I'm also celebrating fathers today. No, it's not Father's Day, because we can celebrate men every day. And so that's what I get to do, y'all. I get to do that. So welcome. And so I've already asked that Dante Carter not act up this morning, y'all. So if you know Dante, I've already said, don't act up. I don't have the energy this morning. I do not have the energy this morning. So he's going to behave himself. Welcome, Kyle. Welcome to the family. How are you this morning?
I'm doing real well. It's good to be here. I'm excited to hear what's going to happen.
Thank you. Okay, so nothing bad is going to happen. So another disclaimer. This is a safe space, right? So y'all don't come in here acting a fool, because don't come in my inbox acting crazy about men. Do not do it, or we're going to have a session. And I don't want that today, because we are celebrating the good things that men are doing. and have done and continue to do. And I just decided that you guys are one of the shining examples because you guys are in my network. And so I love that. Let me just be real clear. That does not mean, gentlemen, all my other male friends, that doesn't mean I think you're not exciting. I only have so much time. Okay. All right. So, David, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am awesome. Y'all, David kind of got cussed out yesterday because I was like, why are you not inviting me to stuff? So
I got you. Okay.
I thought I was in the in crew, but apparently not. Dante, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, and I promise I will be on my best behavior.
We're gonna cross our fingers, y'all. Oh, I see Teresa Hardy then woke up this morning, came to join us. All right. Welcome, Teresa. Hey, sister. Good morning. So I'm just going to do kind of like a round robin. So I want you all to introduce yourselves and your organization and tell me where you're located, tell our listeners where you're located and what it is that you do in the realm of fatherhood. And Kyle, I'm going to begin with you because I thought your organization and what you do is so fascinating.
All right. My name's Kyle Jetzel. I actually live in Boise, Idaho now, but I grew up in Dallas, inner city Dallas, in a little area called Oak Cliff. Some of you may have heard of Oak Cliff. And so what I do is I have 6 kids, 5 sons, 1 daughter. And my sons were all and are all what I like to call feral. They're just wild animals, right? And so when my kids started growing up, I married a sweet Southern belle, very feminine. I like to call her a bombshell. And she wasn't ready for these boys, right? When you grow up where I grow up, and you learn to be hard and tough and rough, they were just overwhelming to her. And so, it became a real issue in our family, and the stress was overwhelming, as you can imagine, trying to raise all these crazy boys acting like fools all the time. And so, she and I really had to work together to create a system basically that we could raise, that we call them strong-willed, or some people call them challenging, or some people call them spirited. Whatever you want to call them, that's what they were. And so she and I really worked together to help her and really help me to create a system where we could raise them in a spirit of love and build them and grow them to be good men. And we didn't want to break their spirit. We don't want to break our kids' spirit. We just want to help aim it in the right direction.
Yes.
And so that's what I do now is I help parents, teach parents, and mostly moms, funny enough, how to create their own world where they can raise these kids in a spirit of love and allow them to be good, strong men. And that's really what I do now. So I'm a parenting coach, and I love it. I love seeing happy families, and I love helping people build happy families. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Kyle. Kyle, can you tell the listening audience what is the name of your organization?
It's Parenting Strong-Willed Kids, is what the name of it is. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you and welcome. Dante, I'm going to go to you next.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Kidada, one of the things I just want to start off is thank you so much for opening up the platform to allow us to have these discussions. It's something that, for me, I've been thinking a lot about. For those that don't know, my name is Dante Carter. I run a communications firm here in Atlanta, Georgia. And being in this comm space, I'm always looking at narratives and always aware of narratives. And for me, I became very concerned about the narratives surrounding fatherhood, particularly Black fathers, because I know how involved many of the men in my circle are. I know what we do, and that was part of the reason why I wrote that book. Well, my daughter and I co-wrote the book is because we wanted to be able to highlight this relationship between a father and daughter. We have another gentleman that's writing a sequel to this, highlighting him and his son are working to highlight the relationship between a father and son. And I think things are so important. I think it's it's almost when it comes to fatherhood, it seems like a lost a lost role in a sense. And
Mhm.
I want to be part of joining Daniel and Kyle and making sure that not only do we humanize our roles, but we show folks the value of them. And so that's what I'm excited about being on here today. I'm talking about what we do, how we do it, and the impact that we're all able to make.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome. What is the name of the book? Because I didn't receive a book, but we're gonna leave that.
It's Daddy and Me, and it's
Wait, lift it up, put it to the camera. Lift it up.
Lift It Up. Wow.
Lift it up so we can see. Yes, Daddy and Me, My Daddy and Me. I love it. And let me tell y'all something. His daughter is a firebrand. That girl the world is not ready for her, y'all. And when I spoke about the daddy that was dressed up in the Winnie the Pooh costume, it was Dante Carter, y'all. And I was gonna pull the picture. But I didn't want to put anybody out there. All right.
I'm just glad you didn't find a cat in the hat one.
Good morning, David. You are up next, my friend.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad to be here this early morning. Thank you for waking me up.
Y'all don't talk about it. One day a week, I wake up real early in the morning, y'all.
You know, I feel that you're feeling left out. You didn't get a book from Dante. You feel like you didn't get invited from me. Let's change that narrative this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm David Manuel. I am the founder of I Am a Father 5K. We're getting ready to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, June 8th. It's a walk and run that supports strengthening families with the emphasis on fathers. We usually do it the day before Father's Day. This is the first year that we actually moving it up a week because we want to make sure that for our 10-year anniversary, we really celebrate, and we want to make sure we get a maximum amount of people that won't conflict with the regular rituals that we do for fathers. Because as you know, Father's Day is the least celebrated holiday in the world. And so we try to bring emphasis on the support and creativity of our strong fathers.
Wait a minute. I did not know that it's the least celebrated.
Halloween is in front of Father's Day.
Oh, y'all, that is so shameful. We have got to do better.
Stores start promoting Mother's Day in early April.
Mm-hmm.
Father's Day, they usually do it the weekend of Father's Day.
Oh no. Oh wow. Okay, so that's a note for me that I'm going to start talking about Father's Day is coming up. But let's be honest. We don't need a day to celebrate fathers. And I know that some people really hold on really tight to those dates and those holidays. And in the marketing of it all, that was the point, right? So there's an economic engine behind that marketing and so forth. And so, but we're going to change that narrative. Like I said, April is the month of celebrating men. And today I am celebrating you all as fathers, as representation of fathers that are doing the work. And so Kyle, you have me in awe. That's all I'm going to say, because I love what is your idea of raising boys? What is it about raising boys that you find to be challenging? Because some people have daughters, and I see, my girlfriend Jennifer said, gosh, I wish she could have used you as a parenting coach 25 years ago. So what is it about raising strong-willed boys that is something that's challenging, that you're like, okay, this is why you got into this space?
Well, I think a lot of it for me is the fact that, men in general, you've been talking about this, right? And it's been going on a while. There's this push against men, right? And I grew up, I'm a masculine man, right? And there's a place for the strength and the courage and those types of things. But where are our boys going to learn that if they don't learn it in our own homes, right? And it's important for us to, I remember the first time my oldest son challenged me, right? We can all remember this. he challenged me. He bowed up on me.
Mm.
I remember this, right? And it surprised me. And my initial thought was, growing up where I grew up, you don't challenge another man like that, right? This is a little boy challenging me.
Mm.
And my initial thought was, no, that ain't gonna happen. This is my home, my rules. This is the way it works, right? And as I considered that, I realized that the best place for him to learn how to be a man is in my home. And so why not let him challenge me and then discuss how he's feeling and what's going on and
Oh,
how
wow.
we can best manage those things, right? I mean, I don't want him going out into the world and learning how to be a man. I'm not sure what they're going to teach him, right? But
Yeah.
I know what kind of man I want to be and what kind of man I aspire to be. And so I really think it's a powerful statement when men can say, listen, these boys are going to be challenging. They're going to try us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to manage those things in a way that models the kind of behavior that we want them to take out into the world, right? I remember one time when I had my first two sons at the time, and I asked my father, I said, listen, Dad, I'm willing to work. What can I do to guarantee these boys become good, strong men who want to provide and protect and fill that role, that powerful role that they have? And my dad said, well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is you can't guarantee anything. he said,
That part.
and he
That
quoted,
part.
he quoted Vince Lombardi, the old coach of the Green Bay Packers, who said, you can't guarantee anything, but you can work so that you deserve success.
Mm.
So he says, these boys are going to have a choice at some point in their lives, and they're going to make their own decisions. You said this earlier. But you want to do everything you can to prepare them to be the best men they can be. And so, the hardest part about raising boys, I think, is to balance them wanting to be men in your home
Mm-hmm.
against your ability to run your home and be the pillar of strength in your own home, right? And be the leader in your home. So, it's really important, I think, as a leader to allow other people to flex their muscles and really put them in the right, run them down the right path so they can express themselves. But still, there's a, you said it earlier, there's kind of a hierarchy in our homes, right? And it kind of has to be followed. We have to give them guidance and support so that they feel empowered instead of, my dad also said, if you lead with fear or shame or demand,
Mm-hmm.
your boys are going to feel controlled and they're going to want to escape.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but if you lead with kindness and patience and love, they're going to feel empowered and they're going to want to go out into the world and be their very best. So.
Thank you for that, Kyle, because that is, you said something that the first thing I thought about was when I hear men talk about who are fathers, talking about their relationship to their own fathers, right? When they challenge their fathers, the first thing that I've always heard is that there was an act of violence that was done. And so I hear a lot of things about, oh, well, I would punch my son in the chest if he challenges me. And so I appreciate you having the maturity and the wherewithal to understand that that is normal. That is a normal function of men. And I mean, and girls do it differently. I'm just going to say girls do it differently. But I appreciate that. The other thing that I am so appreciative is the idea that you went to your own father for guidance and assistance. So David, I know that you work with a lot of father organizations. Right. And so when you were in that space, what are you telling other men? What are you hearing from other fathers that are coming to you in relationship to what am I doing? What can I do to be a better father?
Well, I think a lot of times what I hear from fathers, and these are some very masculine men, these are some protectors. But when they get in a safe place, they're actually able to really communicate how they really feel. Mm-hmm. And a lot of fathers that I talk to have a lot of fear. And the fear is not necessarily what it's like to be a man. A fear is really the elements that surrounds that can take you away from being a man. And for instance, I've talked to a lot of men that were recently incarcerated and they got out. Well, when they got out, they had challenges finding work. And many of these fathers just wanted to be in their children's life. They've missed them for 2 to 5 years. They just want to sit down and do homework with them or at least listen to them. And
Mhm.
sometimes they have to deal with a mother who basically says, you got to pay to play.
Yep.
And that strips a man. When you're a man and you don't have money in your pocket, you can't provide, you don't feel like a man. And so
Mhm.
a lot of times, we try to mentor men to get them really feeling themselves again in terms of what they can do. And so it's challenging. It's challenging across the board. And that's one of the reasons why I created the I'm a Father initiative. And, really getting men and mentoring men, but at the same time, adding the health component, the financial literacy component, the emotional support
Yeah.
component, because sometimes men's safe haven is to go into the barbershop because the barbershop is a free
Mhm.
is a free zone for conversation, for addressing any issues that you might have. And usually the barbershop is filled with 99.9% men. And so it becomes an automatic community safe space for
Mhm.
men to express themselves.
Oh, thank you for that. I like that. I am glad that you spoke about the fear and the challenges that men have. I stated earlier that I used to mediate between men and women the to get that reconnection, right? And sometimes, and I also used to help assist men go through the legal paperwork to get access, right? And so there is a lack of knowledge. But you are right. There is a pay to play to be a father, and that's highly unfortunate. And that is weaponizing the relationship between father and child. And women, I'm going to speak to you for a second and say you are not doing your children any favors. Money has nothing to do with love and the love that a father can provide to his child. You might be angry, you might be upset with him, but that relationship is different than the relationship that he has with his children. And so I will repeat that. Y'all can come for me too. That's all right. We can go ahead and put that. We can have a whole conversation around that. Um, I just want to say this too. Um, it is super challenging for men. And this is an interesting space because when I entered into the space of working with fathers, I was attacked by other men who said, you can't do this. You can't do this as a woman. Only men can speak this. And so I found that really fascinating because I have a skill base that some men don't have, right? So I have access to resources and a knowledge base. And so I just want to say that this should be a partnership to surround men, but men also need the safe space. And you can't be the type of woman that's in attack mode because I guess now I have two baby daddies because I have an ex-husband now. And my first child, I was a teenage mom. And so that relationship was never, problematic. It wasn't problematic with my ex-husband. And so we all can be a part of the solution if we are child centered, right? If we are child centered first and we remove all of our feelings around that. And Dr. Alonia, welcome this morning. Welcome. And she says, you were speaking truth, Kadada. Children need their fathers. Pay to play is not the solution. So Dante, to me, Mr. Winnie the Pooh, you are the epitome of being so child centered. Please tell me, what has been your experience raising your daughter? Because I don't know if you have a son or you just have one
Yeah,
baby.
I have one, a little girl. It's just going back to what David said about that fear component.
Mm-hmm.
The nail on the head. Because it is scary. It's scary. I think, and I'm speaking from the place of being a Black father, just raising kids, because we're not just raising kids to, be this productive adult, but we got to maneuver our children through the system, right? And around the system. There are so many different labels that are on our kids. And I remember one of the parents, when my comms firm the Ahmaud Arbery case was one of the cases that we worked on. And
Mhm.
I remember one parent saying, man, if y'all care so much about these kids, y'all would intervene in their lives before these incidents happen. And it was
Mhm.
something that just struck to me. And I had already been working in the schools, but it made me more intentional about how I reached and touched different students. And it's important, right? Because, a lot of people don't know on the north end of Sandy Springs, there's a higher homeless student population there than the city of Atlanta. And when
Yes.
I bring that point up, folks are like, no, that's not true. Sandy Springs is rich. It's all these things. And so I'm at a school working there. My wife and I were big components of public school. Um, but with my daughter being in that school, there are a lot of things that now she's exposed to. But the,
Mhm.
really talking about raising my daughter, right? I've got to be more intentional about also being impactful with the children that she attends school with. And for me, that's why it's so important to be on the school governance council, be on the
Yes.
PTO, because now we're not just talking about how our children learn, but we're talking about budgets. There are a lot of things that go into that. Um, Even with now our principal retiring, I'm on the hiring committee. So there's so many things that, so many different resources our children need that I think so often, to your point, we look at the dollars, money. It's not all that. It's being present, love, it's the nurturing. Um, I had one of the young men that broke my heart, and I kind of, you got to step away a little bit when you start to tear up. But he said, man, he was like, I just, he's 10, he'll be going to sixth grade next year. He said, I just appreciate you being here. We do a dad's club mentorship program with a bunch of the students, and he
I
said,
love
man,
it.
like, you know, uh, my dad cheated on my mom 3 times. Um,
Mm.
as like stable housing is is when he's with another woman, and he was like, that's the only image I had until you started spending time with me. And I bring that up not to slander men at all, um,
Yeah.
but that young man reminded me so much of myself growing up, and it was other men in the community that filled that void. And I think a lot of times we look at fatherhood and dads or community as those who are in the house, and so often those who step up in those places get overlooked, and they're putting in so much of that work. There's no way I could have a vision for being as involved in the schools as I've been if I had not been exposed to that as a kid. And so I know it's what I'm doing is bigger than just me raising my daughter. It's ensuring that we're building a community where all children feel safe.
Whew, Lord, I just yay, yay, yay. I promise y'all, if y'all have not been on my show before, if you have not followed me, this is a warning. I am a crier. And so when it comes to the babies, I'm like, I love them so much. But I also love when people just do good works, right? I'm a big fan of community building in all facets, in all forms. And so I hear that you all three of you men are really building a community and allowing other men to have safe spaces to learn how to be a father, but then also having the ability with your interactions with young men to give guidance. Not only guidance, but also allowing them to speak their truths, right? We do not understand that when children are traumatized, and let me say this, that trauma comes in all different shapes, forms, and sizes. And so whether it's a breakup of a marriage, a separation, all of these things, that it really does something to a child's brain, and it slows down brain formation. I bet you all were not aware of that. And so, and it is people like you all that allow children the space to think differently and change their brain functions. David, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yeah. So when I started my fatherhood initiative, I used to hear this phrase a lot, that women cannot raise boys.
Mm, mhm.
I was raised by a single mother. And, listening to this panel, and first of all, thank you for putting this together this morning. This is a great way to start
So
your morning,
welcome.
to hear honest conversation from men.
Don't do
Uh,
that. I'm gonna cry, y'all. I'm gonna cry.
so I used to go around and tell people that women can raise boys to be men. And Kyle, and what Kyle is doing, it pretty much answers that question, because a woman at the right time can put the right men in a child's life to take him to the next level. And Kyle organization is proof of that, showing how a boy can be raised to be a man, a strong man, a provider. And if that mother makes that choice to say, hey, I am going to reach out to an organization, like Kyle, to say at this point, at this age of 11, because I know 13 is coming and that's a whole different mindset.
Yep.
I need to put the right men in my child's life at that right time. And so, mothers are more nurturing in many cases than fathers. And you need that nurturing early on. But at some point between that age of 10 and 13 and 14, boys are what my grandparents used to say, start smelling themselves. And sometimes you gotta get in their face, but you got to get in their face the right way, not to tear them down, but embrace this. And I think that's a strong decision a mother can make at any time.
Thank you for that. Kyle, did you want to say something to that and add
You
to
know
it?
what, I appreciate that, David. And I got to tell you, Dante, one of the things that is super powerful to me is that, one of my concerns is I send my kids off to school and we don't really know who they're talking to, what's going on, who influences them.
Right.
And it's always been my contention and my belief that, kids don't respond to discipline and to direction unless they feel loved, right? Or feel connected. And so, it's really imperative that we as dads, and I'm gonna back up a second, because the thing I think that's most important that I think that I teach is you can have any interaction with anybody, and if you start in a spirit of love and you say, listen, I'm going to have this interaction with this person in a spirit of love, right? It changes the dynamics of your interaction with those people. And I think when my kids go to school, they'll come back and tell me, you're not going to believe what somebody's saying at school, Dad. And I think it's because they know I love them. And so they're able to take direction and take discipline and those kind of things. They trust me that I love them. And sometimes these kids will go to school and other people have a more powerful influence than their own dads or moms sometimes. And the idea, Dante, that there's people there like yourself that they can look at and they can say, I feel like Dante cares about me.
Yeah.
These boys out there need people that they can look at and say, I feel like he cares about me. And because of that, I'm going to listen and I'm going to follow, or I'm going to watch what he does and model him as who I want to be. Right. And too often we just leave that up to, there's too many kids out there that it's left up to just their own devices. Right. And so one of the most powerful things I think we can do, not just with our own kids, but anytime we come across kids that are capable of being influenced, is to just express, you don't have to say I love you to make them feel like they're loved, right? You can connect with these kids in any kind of way, however you do it, whether it's, my daughter went to prom recently and she had a group of kids with her, and the boys showed up and they didn't have ties on. And I said, hey, you boys need ties? They said, what? I said, hey, come up, look at my tie collection up here. I got every color you'll need. And so they just picked out ties, and then they just stood there. They didn't know what to do. I said, you guys know how to tie ties? And they said, no, sir. I said, here we go. And my daughter too, she helped tie some of the ties. She knows how to do it. Her twin brother knows how to do it. And it was just, we had this connection, right? And it was really simple things we can do that if we put ourselves in a spirit of love when we're dealing with these other individuals, is we just say, how can I show them some sort of love in my interaction with them? And it doesn't mean we're not men and we're not tough and we're not strong, and we're not providers, right? It just means we have a side that we want to model for them how to behave and how to act. And the idea that I can send my kids to school and there's Dante's there or David's there or right these other men. I'm so grateful for the other men in my kids' lives who I know felt love from, that have been able to influence them and in the right direction. And I just want to compliment you, Dante, and you too, David. I mean, they need, there's kids out there that need that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They need to, and they can look at you and say, that's what a father is. That's what I want to be.
Right.
And it gives them a vision of who they can become, right? And it all starts with being happy to be there, number one, right?
Yes.
Smiling at them, and then let them feel your love. And I appreciate that from you guys very much.
Kyle, y'all just got me this morning. I can't cry because I don't have any tissues over here. So I'm trying to hold myself together, y'all. I'm trying to hold myself together because I just had a vision. I used to love when my kids were in school. Thank you, Jesus. They are out of the K-12 system. But I used to love watching the dads, because I was a PTA president, like open the doors for children in the morning. Like, I love that. And the dads would give hugs and all that kind of fun stuff. And so I love that. And so, Kyle, you made me think about my own father, right? And sometimes dads can't be present all the time because my daddy traveled. So he traveled for work, but we were well loved, and I know what he deposited in me. And so this made me wonder, what do you all think or know to be how fathers show love, right? So that's the first question. And then in that line of thinking too, what do you all think about gentle parenting, especially with boys? So Dante, I'm going to go to you first.
But you know what? When I think about the things that fathers can provide, I think the first two are common, right? Is protecting and providing. But the third one that sticks out to me is how we prepare them for a world without us. And yes, it's so important. And it's even one of the things that, when we take time with mentoring young guys, even when I'm talking to my daughter, that I'm very in tune and focused with. One of the boys, he came up and he was scared to shoot the basketball in the game. He was like, "Man, they don't trust me to shoot." And I was like, "Do you trust yourself to shoot?" He said, "No, I don't trust myself to shoot either."
Oh.
I said, "You don't trust yourself?" He said, "No." He was like, "They don't trust me. I don't trust me." And I said, "Well, I believe in you, so you keep shooting till you make the basket, because the only way that you're going to gain confidence in a game is by shooting, right? Like you rhythm." And so when I think about that as they maneuver through life, how do you help them to find their rhythm in life? How do you help prepare them for that moment where they've got to balance checkbooks, they've got to they're looking for their dream home, they're looking at school districts. How do you prepare them to do that? And when they don't find that school district that checks all the boxes, right? How do you teach them how to get involved to make that school what they want it to be? How do you teach them how to get involved in the community and build this community up, help to set a standard that others will step in and help you uphold? And so those are the things that I look at, because for me, my greatest fear is leaving this world worse off for my daughter than what I inherited. And the only way to prepare her for that is to ensure that she understands what this world is in context and how to maneuver through it.
Oh, thank you. Are you a gentle parent? Do you do gentle parenting?
I do. And I think I think it's also understanding the kid too, right? Because I think some kids you got to be a little more stern and harder with. Some kids need that gentle love. I think my daughter's gotten so much gentle love from me that I got to be a little more stern with her. Have to kind of drive certain points home. A lot of the kids that I'm mentoring, though, I think life has been so hard for them that they need that gentle. They need that love and that affection. They need to hear somebody say, "I believe in you," and pushing them to be that better person. So I think that can all just depend on the child and what they reach that next level.
And so for the listening audience, I needed to pause for a second because I needed to pull a definition. Y'all know I love a good dictionary over here of what gentle parenting is, so that way we're all on the same page. And so the goal of gentle parenting is to raise confident, independent, and happy children through empathy, respect, and understanding and setting healthy boundaries. There is nowhere in there that talks about violence, meaning spanking, and spanking is a choice. I'm not going, since I was such a good girl, I was never spanked. I just want to say that. That's my brag for today. But but the goal is not to have a violent relationship with your children. And as Kyle had said, you don't want them to be fearful of you. They want, to understand where they are at emotionally. So David, what do you think, and how do you know that men show love, or you as a father, how do you show love to your children? And then what do you think about gentle parenting in the space for boys?
Well, one of your first questions, I want to go ahead and give my three that I think work well in terms of raising kids, and that's space. Give them space. Time is important too. It's not all about the money. It's about the quality time you spend, showing up, being there. And also security. I'm a grown man now. I have a family. I have 2 sons and a daughter. They're almost 30. And so I've experienced that. But when I look at my life, if my father was in my life at an early age, I could have checked that box of feeling secure when I went to school, when I came home. But as a child, I watched my mom work 2 jobs to make ends meet. And I remember one time where her purse got snatched and she had $1,000 cash in. She just cashed her check. This was back in the day where sometimes we had cash money on us. Right. And the concern and worried about, are we going to have our lights off? Are we going to be able to get groceries until next paycheck? Going to school with that kind of fear, and also caring for your mom, seeing her struggle and cry, and hearing her cry in her room at night. Those kind of things stayed in me as I became an adult. And there were some things that I wasn't even comfortable with. But what helped me was because I didn't have a father in my life, I watched a lot of TV. And so I watched shows like Good Times, and I watched shows like The Cosby Show. Yes. And I saw 2 different fathers in 2 different roles. James Evans was a strong father. He didn't have money, but you knew he was the protective provider of that family. Whereas Heathcliff Huxtable had a good career and he could relate to his kids. He could get on their level. And I learned from both of them, which kind of helped me mold into the father that I am today. Know how to protect, know how to provide, but at the same time, I know how to relate to not only my kids, but also I taught in Atlanta public schools, and I taught 2nd graders, and I was able to really understand them. And I taught at a school that was considered in one of the worst areas of Atlanta, which was Thomasville Heights Elementary School, which is down the street, not from the state pen, but the federal pen. And what these kids had to see every morning going to school was liquor stores, was grass that was deteriorating, was a strip club called Foxy Lady. They saw that every day as they walked to school. But what they got when they walked in that building was this energetic young father who knew how to teach and knew how to relate to kids and give me something that I didn't quite have when I was growing up. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. And Dante kind of said it the best. The role of a parent is to prepare your kids for life without you. Are your kids ready for that? If you were to leave tomorrow, have you done the necessary things to really equip them with what's going to take them to the next level?
First of all, let me tell y'all, the first time I went to Thomasville Heights, y'all, I was scared because I was like, what is that building over there? And it is so heartbreaking. And there's a political conversation to be had around why you would build a school by a federal penitentiary. There've been a group of Black folk, but we ain't gonna talk about that today because y'all know I'm a political consultant. I'm an op, and we can have this conversation because it is traumatizing. As someone who grew up in the suburbs, grew up a different type of life, it was traumatizing to me. I was scared. And so thank you for bringing that up, David. I had no idea you were a school teacher. I had no idea. Listen, I'm getting all surprises. People's business is just dropping out this morning. So I appreciate you for bringing that level of joy and light into that school and into that area, because that school is still a tough school.
Yeah.
So Kyle, I want to ask you, because you dropped so much wisdom, but as a parenting coach, which I love, I just want to tell you all that I know that people are like, coaches aren't necessary. Why do you need a coach? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm literally going to say blah, 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 because it's acceptable to have a football coach, a track coach, but it's not acceptable to have anyone walk the path with you in your adulthood to get to the next level, right? So parents need to get to the next level. If you are missing skills, then you need to be able to get some assistance, right? Just like I'm a life coach, whatever, I'm a coach, whatever title you want, I assist people getting to the next level because they may not have those skills. So Kyle, what is your perception of this gentle parenting space? How do you feel about that?
So I'll give you a real clear example of when I've been able to use that. And I'll let you guys know that I played 4 sports in high school in inner city Dallas. And I played against athletes that you've heard of, right? So I mean, high level athletes. I wasn't one of them, but
you got time. You got time, Kyle. You can still do it.
Yeah, they ran over me in football. They dunked on me in basketball, right? But you know, to me, it gave me an opportunity to express my physicality in a meaningful way. After high school, I actually boxed for 4 or 5 years. Because I was growing up where I grew up, I felt alone because I grew up in a black neighborhood where I was one of the only white kids, right? And so there, you know, you learn that violence and the threat of violence is a powerful tool, and you got to stand up. If you don't stand up to that, you're not making it in my neighborhood, right? And so I came out of there with a little bit of an edge, right? And I still have a punching bag and a speed bag in my garage that I work on every day. It's in my garage, right? So my kids have seen me out there beating on that thing. They know it's in me, right? It's there. That the man is there. Well, I had one of my sons. I have a son who one of my sons is autistic, and he's more severe on the autism spectrum. So he's challenged mentally understanding how things work. And so he will try to get his way by ramping up his behavior. You know, first he'll scream at me, and then he'll ball up his fists at me, right? And then he'll, you know, threaten, and it just doesn't work with me. I realize, first of all, he's got some mental disabilities, and physically fighting with him is not going to be effective, right? But it doesn't mean he doesn't try, because that's what he's got in his bag, right? And so I've taught myself to be very calm and loving in those situations. You know, you can't punch somebody when you put yourself in the spirit of love. That those two don't mix, right? Well, a few months ago, so those you may not know, but I lost my wife. I was married to my wife for 30 years, and a little bit over 2 years ago, she passed away suddenly, leaving me alone with my 6 kids. And so, you know, it's a tragedy, and it's painful, and it's heart-wrenching, and I'm heartbroken, right? I'm heartbroken, right? And so my son, his name is Eric. Something wasn't making him happy, and he was ramping up, and he tried everything, right? Balled up his fist at me and said, "Hey, listen, we're not going to fight. That's not going to work," right? And I could see his mind spinning, and he walked down the hall. And I had a picture of my wife with a bunch of pictures of her around it, kind of something I look at every day to remind myself why I do what I do, right? And he leaned back and he spit all over this picture of my wife.
Oh, wow.
And man, let me tell you, you guys know when that heat starts to rise, it starts to rise, and you know, it's time. Somebody's going to get knocked out right now, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? And I don't know if that's a man thing or what it is, but it's there. Believe me, that animal lives inside you, right? And I remember I had trained myself so well not to get physical with him, but it was there. I could feel it, right? And I thought, if ever there was a time where it was called for, now is that time, right? And I'm thoughtfully considering this. I'm mad, but I'm not screaming but I'm thoughtfully considering it. And I thought, now seems I could end this all and he would learn a really valuable lesson. I'm considering this in my mind. And then I thought, there's no way I can punch my own son in the face in a spirit of love.
Wow.
If I'm guided by a spirit of love, I can't hit him. And so I just turned to him and I said, hey, please don't do that. That's my wife and that's your mom. And that hurts me. And his face, he went from furious and angry to his face changed. And you could see he felt me. Right. And so I think there's a place for each kind of parenting. And I really appreciated what you said, Dante. Different kids require different things. My oldest son is aggressive, played 5 sports in high school. My second son was passive. And I had to parent him differently. He needed some different things from me. But the idea that we're conscious and we're thoughtful and we ask for divine help, right? Whenever we're working with these kids, it's a matter of us really paying attention to those things, right? And I believe in, again, I want my boys and my daughter to grow up to be kind, good people. But it doesn't mean I don't want my boys to know how to use that heavy bag and that speed bag, right? And I tell my boys, and I tell everybody I know, it's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war, right? Because we know what the world is around us, right? And that's why, my kids play sports. They all of them are going to go out there and be physical and get that in their systems and learn how to battle and fight and win and lose with courage, right? And practice. I remember, Dante, when you said the little boy that was afraid to shoot. I remember coming home one time, I was about 12 or 13, and I was upset. And my dad said, what's the matter? And I said, I'm over here at the park trying to play basketball with the brothers, and they won't let me play. I can't play. And he said, why is that? I said, well, first of all, if I get in it, they brutalize me. They don't want me there. Look at me. They don't want me playing ball with them. And you know what he said to me? He said, you know what, Kyle? Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Go in the backyard and you shoot in your backyard. You go shoot until you can't miss. And then you go out and you let them see you shoot till you can't miss. And then you put yourself in a position where they want you on the court. Right? And he said, work. Don't ever run away from that. Work so that you're accepted. And put in the work so that you trust yourself when you shoot. And you can prove your ability out there. Don't just sit back and say, right, you got to put in the work before you can step on the court, right? Before you can have confidence. It takes the back end stuff. And it's the same with us as fathers. We got to put in the work. We got to give our kids that time. I love what you said. We got to give them space. We got to give them time. We got to give them security. We got to do that over and over and over every day with no fanfare.
Right.
We ain't got nobody cheering us on. It don't matter. We're doing it because it's who we are. Right? And it's because it's a valiant thing to do no matter what the result is. We're going to put in the work because that's what it takes to get that result long term. And even if we don't get that result, that's okay. We're not doing it because we want the result. We're doing it because that's who we are at our core. We're men. We're fathers. I'm pretty sure God calls himself Father. What greater title is there than Father? I'm okay with that. If that's my best title in life, that's God's title. Why don't I try to pursue that? Being a father.
Let me tell y'all something. I just think I'm gonna call Kyle Pastor Kyle from now on, because he done preached a whole word this morning. And let me just say, listen, I'm not gonna cry, y'all, but first of all, Kyle, my condolences on the passing of your love. Because it shows me and it tells me that you all really created a bond and built a family that was that was strong, and you all worked through your challenges. And so I just want to say that you guys are getting shown so much love in the comments. You all have dropped some important wisdom. Whether in Kyle, I'm going to have to bring you back because we're going to talk about, special need parenting, what that looks like. At some point in time, I'm going to talk about how do we parent young women from a male perspective, because I know your little powerhouse, Dante, has probably been like, listen, daddy. I know. And David, I appreciate the fact that you recognize listen, you recognize something in a space that we don't talk about, of the lack of celebration of fathers. And so I honor all of you gentlemen. And in closing, because I've got to close out soon enough, I just want to say, please, please, please tell us how we can support you, where we can find you all. And please make a promise that you guys are going to come back, because this is, I never thought I would feel so happy, joyous, and hopeful in the space of talking to men about the challenges that men are having in the fatherhood and the celebrations and the joys of fatherhood. So Dante, let us know how to buy your book, how to find you, all kinds of things.
Hey, so we'll start off with the promise first. I promise I'm gonna come back. Got my word on that. You can find the book on just about every retail website. Also on our website at www.mydaddyandmebook.com, and just put my name into social media, and all my pages will pop up. Love to connect with you all, and I just appreciate this opportunity to sit down with Kyle, David. I mean, I just being able to listen to you brothers, hear the work. I'm like, that's what inspires me. I think, when we do our work in silos, it discouraging. Just it's just been encouraging and inspiring. Even just the love and patience with your son Eric, even talking about your daughter knowing how to tie ties and helping the guys out at prom. David, just the 5K, just understanding the importance of celebrating men. And it's like, back, Kyle, one of the things that I do appreciate is how you kept coming back to the masculinity point. And notice probably, not PC to say, but we're just in a day and time where it's like men being men isn't always thought highly of. And I just you circle that point, because the only way we're going to be effective to our spouses, to our community, is we got to be able to walk in the wholeness of who we are, who God created us to be. And so I just appreciate both of you fellas just reminding us of the importance of doing that. And so so much, and Gadada, thank you again for opening up your platform to talk about issues, because 50% of the U.S. is talking about this stuff, and we don't get to talk about it. So
that's right.
The platform for us.
You are so welcome, David. How can we find you? What are your closing thoughts?
So again, thank you, and yes, I will be back. And thank you, Dante and Kyle. I couldn't have been on a better panel. And I do have a question for Kyle, because we talked about his boys, but I wonder how his daughter has handled that, being in that household with all that masculinity. So I'm gonna let him address that when I finish. But you can follow me on social media at David Manuel, the real David Manuel. My 5K is coming up on June 8th. It's called the I Am a Father 5K. To register, go to IamAfather5k.org. It's a walk and run that really supports strengthening families, but also organ donor awareness. I'm celebrating the 10th year anniversary of the 5K, but I'm also celebrating my 10-year liverversary as receiving a life-saving transplant almost 10 years ago. And then in closing, Kyle, I don't want you to ever feel upset when you was growing up because they didn't let you play in the game. Remember the movie White Man Can't Jump? You remember the movie, so you've proved them wrong now. But keep making it happen, brothers. I would definitely support your organization, and I'm sure there's a way where all of us can work together, because at the end of the day, it's about strengthening families. And if you start with the head, which is men, the rest should follow, especially if you're doing it the right way. So again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Kyle, you have the last word. Maybe we need to bring your daughter on. Let me make sure she's okay.
Well, I appreciate being here too, and sure, I'd love to come back and chat with you. And I think Dante, you and I, and David, you and I are probably going to have more conversations as we move forward too. On the back end of this. Yeah, it's been great for me to be here. I will tell you this, my daughter, I'm grateful for my wife passed away when my daughter was 13. And we had 4 sons, and we stopped having kids for 6 years because my wife thought we were done. But after 6 years, my wife came to me and she said, I think we need to try one more time to have a daughter, because my wife wanted to pass her femininity down to the next generation. And so when we got pregnant with our daughter, they were twins, a boy and a girl. And they're now 16. My son is 6'5", 220 pounds, and my daughter's 5'6", 100 pounds, right? So, they're twins, which is crazy. But the reason I'm so grateful is that my daughter was 13 when my wife passed away, and my wife was the model of beautiful femininity and kindness and compassion and love. And my daughter watched her for years. And now my daughter fills our home with that same feminine power. And and she will tell me, you can't talk to me like that. She'll tell me sometimes, you can't talk to me like that. And I hear her mom in her voice when she says it. And I have to check myself, right? And she's right. There's a different way. She's the princess. I have to talk to her like the queen that she is, right? I can't talk to her like these boys. I can throw them on the ground and wrestle with them and say, hey, that ain't happening. No, right? But when I talk to her, there's a different tone in my voice. There's a different, right? Because she requires that from me because she saw her mom require that from me. And so, again, you mentioned it earlier, Dante, we have to it's up to us to really, to pray, to find the answers to our questions. How do we raise each of these special kids? How do we raise them individually, not as a group? And so, go ahead.
How do we find you? Because I need to respect my producer. We are still in Ramadan, and so I want to make sure that she can go pray. And so, how do they find you?
Just look me up on social media, Kyle Jetzel. I'm the only Kyle Jetzel out there. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you all for joining me today, this morning, waking up with me. You guys, I could not have dreamt that I would kick off my celebration of men with you, gentlemen. You are now part of my family. I appreciate you all so very much. And listen, everyone that joined late, just go and you can listen to this Facebook Live later and you will be blessed. I promise you. And so in closing, I want to say, please join me next Thursday for a special Life Coaching Today Presents. I am actually going to not be on at 7 a.m. I'm going to do 7 p.m. Y'all hear Zora? She mad at somebody this morning. But I have on the distinctive, the honorable, the fun Les Brown with me next Thursday night at 7 p.m. And so I want you all to join me. I'm just doing this thing, y'all, but I am humbled by your spirit, by your love, and the love that you have for other men, because we're going to talk about that. I have some notes here about other things we're going to talk about. So you all, I know, Kyle, you my type of boy. You my type of dude, Kyle. I love Kyle. And so thank you all. And I promise you, I want you guys to go back and look at the chat, because you are loved and we appreciate your service to our children and to our men. So thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for listening. And this is Life Coaching Today Presents. Have an awesome day. Bye, gentlemen. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.